Okay, HiChord, pocket audio, synth. I have two parts in this video. One of them is going to be like a tutorial, and the other is going to be kind of an informal review. So if you are interested in jumping around, if you want to just know how to use the unit, there's going to be timestamps, jump to that. And if you want to know about my thoughts, also jump to that. I recorded them at different times, so it's a little bit disjointed, but it is the HiChord synth by Pocket Audio. Okay, so this is the HiChord by Pocket Audio. This video is going to be structured a little bit different than my other reviews. It's going to be a kind of first impressions and like kind of a pseudo review of the unit, and then it's going to be some demonstration. So you guys can, I'm going to put on top of the screen here a bunch of close-ups of the device as well, so you can get a better look at the build quality using some macro shots and whatnot. And then the demonstration is just going to be some sound quality and kind of going over what we talk about here. So, first impressions of this device. I have some good, I have some bad. I'm going to start with the good though, because there's a lot of good. I think it's a pretty nifty little device, and the guy who made it is Canadian, which I think is pretty dope. I will say I reached out to the team to ask them if they want any information mentioned, because this is not a sponsored video or whatever. I just wanted to kind of get an opinion from the team as to what they think is the most nifty part of the device, and I got back nothing. They didn't give me any information about the device, so I'm just disclosing what I've personally experienced, and it's all up to date. It's kind of a bit of a pain to update if you're not using Google Chrome, so you got to use Google Chrome. But other than that, yeah, the process should just be atop the screen right now. It's a pretty simple update process if you're in the right place. Okay, so up-to-date unit. What are my thoughts on the build quality? The build quality, I think, is very nice. As you might be able to tell by the studio I'm in, this is my place here. I love synths. I'm a big synth head, and it's kind of like what I live for. I'm particularly partial to analog synths, which this is a digital synth as far as I'm aware. I mean, I don't really see how it could be analog. So it's kind of like a little chord box. There's 7 notes, and each of them represent one of the 7 chord degrees per scale that you choose. So if you're familiar with music theory, you got 7 notes per scale or per key, and then each of those notes you can build a chord off of. That's kind of how this works. You don't have to know any music theory because it locks you to scale. So if you're just looking to jump into like music creation, this is a pretty dope unit. The build quality, it's pretty nice. The buttons feel a little bit loose. I think that's intentional. I don't think it's a bug. I think it's by design because you're able to actually swap them out. The little screen here is OLED, so that's pretty killer. You know, it's very nice. It's a nice little synth. Honestly, it reminds me of the HiChord, but like, you know, distilled into a tiny little unit. On the back here, you have like the startup instructions as to how to use it, because to be honest, this is a very simple device. It's not complicated at all to jump into. You have a key button to change your keys. You have a waveform button to choose your sound, your waveform, or you can put effects on it. You got your reverb, flanger, chorus, a bass that kind of clones the root note and drops it an octave to give you some heavy weight to your device. Actually, I'll just do that for you right now so you get an idea. This is a very basic, that's a saw. So if I wanted to make it a little bit heavier, it would be as simple as just turning the bass on. And then this little knob on the right side here, right now, is the chord, I guess it's the chord expression knob. It allows you to switch between 7th chords and 9th chords and suspended chords and whatnot, so it just works like this. So as you go around the joystick there, you have some pretty interesting, chord expression options. And so nothing that you can do on, let's say, like a MIDI instrument, like a basic synth with a keyboard connected to it, this is not capable of doing. You can do essentially anything you want chord-wise on this, and you can even switch to lead on this, which I'll put in my demonstration. But for the most part, no. So you can play chords, there's a bass option, right? So you have your heavy bass. And there's a lead option, so you can literally, I believe wholeheartedly, you could compose like an entire soundtrack, video game soundtrack, ambient music album, like think like One Heart. I feel like you could definitely produce like some dark ambient records completely on this, with nothing else. You can record right off of this as well. It works like an audio interface via USB-C into your computer. Like your DAW will detect it as an interface, which is pretty cool. So that's like the low and dirty about it. You can take this anywhere you want too. It's like extra. I feel like this video does the decent job showing how tiny it is, but I didn't expect it to be as small as it actually was. So super portable. Now a few of the cons. Okay, so it's a brand new company, right? It was funded by Kickstarter, so there's going to be kinks. That's natural, so I don't want to rag on the company too much. But the shipping process, it's a little bit iffy. I've seen people on Reddit talk about they use like GoFo, or I'm from Canada, dude. Like I don't actually know what that is, but Heard it's not a very good experience in America. For me, it took over a month after shipment to get to me because they use the cheapest possible shipping option. So just prepare for a relatively painful process while they sort out their logistics. Right now, not very good. Okay, and then so problem number 2, I've seen a lot of people report that their screen is like off kilter, or there's like, you know, very kind of odd build problems with their units. So it's a bit of a hit or miss, and that's because I think, as far as I'm aware, it's a 2-person company right now. They've sold I don't know how many units, they've sold quite a bit, but it's still a 2-person company, so you can expect a little bit of quality control issue compared to maybe like a more popular brand like Moog. Although I think Moog's kind of having a bit of those now too, especially lately. But either way, the build quality, it's mine's perfect, but I've seen enough complaints on Reddit and responses to kind of gather that, you know, it's a bit of a risk. The speaker is, it's not very good. It's not good at all, actually. It doesn't really, it's good for laying ideas down, I feel like, if you're in the park, but yeah, no, you definitely need to plug it into headphones, which is very easy. You have your little millimeter jack here, or into a speaker system. So this works like a line out as well. Like currently mine's feeding into an audio interface behind me, and it's feeding out stereo, so it just splits. But you need that, which also leads me to there's no 1/4 inch. It's again, it's a headphone jack, so that's a little painful. But that's kind of the bulk of my problems with it, to be honest. There is some software issues, but other than that, you know, it's in beta right now, this current edition, so there's going to be software issues. I do see on their website that they offer the opportunity to type in a prompt, and then AI will generate a sound for you to play on this. I know it's going to be a pro for a lot of people, but for me, I'm just super anti-AI in the art scene, so that's a con for me. But other than that, no, seems like a great little beast to just chop music out. I'm gonna put a demo at the end. I've actually jammed on this quite a bit, and I really love it. I bought it to review it, then sell it. But to be honest with you, I'm gonna keep it because I feel like it's a perfect ideas box. Like, I'm in bed and I want to kind of come up with a chord progression. Maybe I'm not hitting suspended second chords very much, and I end up using this, pushing down to hit one of those, and I'm like, oh, you know what? I haven't played that on the piano in a while. I can implement that into my track. It works like that. It's a great little box for ideas and laying things out. You can loop things on this as well. Like, I could lay a 4-chord progression down and choose the BPM and loop it as well, which I'll do in the demonstration. And then you can start like layering things on top of that and getting ideas. You can also send MIDI out. So if you're the kind of person that isn't very familiar with music theory, but you still like messing around in your DAW, you can send chords out of this, like fully pre-made, into your DAW, and then you can mess around on the piano roll with the data that you've received. So pretty killer little unit. I honestly think this is you know, I've seen a lot of people talk about the price being too high. Personally, I actually don't think it is. I think I mean, for what we buy synth-wise in the analog world, or even in the digital world, this is a continually developing, very impressive product to keep an eye out for. There are a few cons. I think it's just because it's a new product. But I mean, even I guess this is made of metal. It's aluminum, so the build it feels very nice in the hand. Sometimes I also feel like the headroom is a bit of a problem. Just to be quick with it, sometimes I'll be playing some bass chords on this, and then I'll be laying a melody over, and it will start clipping very fast. But there's even a mixer on this thing. I think there's 7 tracks that you can mix in. There's a drum like machine built into this as well. So this is just my little preamble. It's my first impressions with the unit. I might make a more in-depth review, or like a little philosophical piece when I get my head around it a bit more. But for what it's worth, I do not regret buying this. I honestly think it's a killer unit, and if it was the one thing that you had in your studio that generated noise, like it was the only synth that you had, I really think you could develop entire soundtracks for film, commercial, TV, ambient. I mean, even like jazz. I mean, you can lay down 7th chords on this thing beautifully and come up with, lay a 2-5-1 progression down and hop over to, your computer and lay something down on a Rhodes if you wanted to. There's really no end. The limits to this kind of begin wherever the limits in your own creative process begin. And for me, this actually kind of makes that a bit harder to me, because it's such a weird way to approach making music, I find, but it's also super refreshing. So that's my take on this unit. I think it's dope. If you're looking to pick one up, I wouldn't say don't. I'd say you probably should. And I mean, if you want to sell it after you buy, go ahead. They sell easy because they're made in batches. So this is batch 4. I think the next batch comes out in June or July, and then they release relatively slowly. So because it's a small company, but at the end of the day, really cool product. I recommend it. I think it's sick. It won't be replacing my my analog synths, but again, really, it sounds great. This is, it initializes with this sound. So it's like, it honestly sounds really good. It's very fat out of the box. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. You know, the next piece of this video will be my little demonstration, so enjoy that. And if you have any questions about this unit, or you want to see any content specifically about it, I'm super happy to just bust a video out for you. Whether it be a short or a long form, just leave the questions in the comments down below and I will get to it. Thank you guys so much. This is the HiChord by Pocket Audio. Okay, I felt bad not going over how to use it. So you switch it on the top left here, and then you're greeted with, you know, the number that you're on for your update. We're on currently beta 2.7. You can just play like right away. So again, you have chords 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 on like right on deck. So there's nothing you got to worry about. Like in terms of music theory, you can just start playing immediately. If you want to change your key, you can click this key button, which is who would have thought, and then left and right is how you change your key. Like so, right now we're in A. Click it again, and you can click up and down to change your octave. So that's how you do that. I'm not a fan of the higher octaves for chords. If you click both of these at the same time, you can see your battery. We're currently low on battery. I've been running this for about 1 day, so that gives you a good indication of battery life for the review and everything else. And then this button right here, which we're currently on, is how you change your actual sound. So we're on saw right now, but if you go left, you can see saw square, square, triangle, shutter, all of this different stuff. And there's a bunch of stuff, so you can get kind of experimental. A little secret is if you click the button and you click in on the joystick at the same time, it loads a random sound that's not displayed. Some of them aren't so good. But some of them are pretty nice, you know, you can get lucky. So that's pretty cool. I like that one. What I do when I want to kind of restart it is I just turn it on and off. I know a lot of people do like a shortcut. I find that this is the best for me because it's the fastest. So back to the sounds. If you click up, you can go through all the effects. We have things like reverb, chorus, literally kind of everything that you would expect. Filter's interesting. So if we turn filter on, it's not immediately apparent what's happening, but there is a volume rocker on the top here. And you can actually use it to control the filter cutoff. And that's sick because you can play like an actual analog synth. It kind of becomes a part of the overall instrument, which I think is very useful, especially for like a tool on the go. You don't only have the opportunity to sketch ideas, but you can actually do things that you would otherwise kind of be confined to a studio for. So pretty cool. So that's the volume there. Okay, so you can also loop things on this. So how do you do that? Let's say maybe you don't want it like 120 BPM, which it loads to be. So as soon as you open it up, you're stuck to 120 BPM, but you can change it by clicking the time icon over here and going over to, oh, I feel like I missed it. Oh, you go up, sorry. And then so you click that and you click up and then you have access to your BPM. So it takes actually a billion, trillion, gazillion, fidillion, medillion years to find the BPM that you want because it's like one at a time. If there's a better way, like let me know in the comments down below. But let's say you want it to be 80. Okay, cool. We chose a drum kit. Go back to play to kind of choose the chords. If you want to play a chord progression, you just click in. And then it will wait. So it says waiting on 4 bars. As soon as you click a button, it will activate. So. Now we have a loop. And as you can see on the top here, there are different icons. Those represent tracks. Track 1 is currently filled with this chord sound, but you can click this again and select a lead. So if you click in again, the lead will record once the loop is complete. What if you want to mix it? You click that again and you go to mixer. Okay, everything's off now. That was overwhelming for sure. But how you utilize it is pretty simple. So once you get into the mixer, which you access again by clicking this and finding it in the menu, you have access to 6 tracks and a metronome. So there are 7 total tracks, technically, including the metronome, and each of them are represented by a key here. So you have 1. That'll unmute the chords. This will unmute the melody that we put onto channel 2, and this will unmute the metronome because it's the 7th. How do you mix though? Like currently, if you turn them both on, you'll see that the melody is actually like way underrepresented in the mix. So you might want to turn the chords down. So turn the chords on and the melody if you want. Hold the chord button and just mix it down with the volume rocker. So succinctly put, that's how you start, working on loops. You can put a bunch of stuff, like as you saw, I opened up a drum kit. There's a drum kit option in there as well. And if one little thing that I thought was cool too, before I wrap this section up, because a lot of it you can just explore on your own, is this mic option, which is super strange. So I have this little cat here. If I click in microphone, it will allow me to record with this little microphone right here. So let's just do an example of that. Now when I play a button, the cat will record in. And you can do anything you want. Like for example, I could record in my own voice, like doing like a lower note or something, or like a mid note. Now I have access to play my own voice. And you can add like a bass octave to that if you want through effects. It'll like clone the fundamental or like the root note. And it will drop it an octave and add some body to my voice. I feel like that did not do the right thing right there. So you could take this out to like the train station if you wanted. You could record like some ambient sounds and you could, play it harmonically. So it's pretty cool. There's a ton of options on here to kind of create really interesting tracks. Yeah, there's not much more to be said. It's a very simple unit, but if you have any questions, again, just let me know in the comment section below, and I'm super happy to make like a short form piece of content or even a long form one showing off more about the unit. Okay, cool. Thank you guys.